That's about what we want. Right there. No, right there. Right there. Yep, that's about it. Okay. All right, folks. Welcome back. Welcome back, folks. How we feeling? All right. This is it. This is episode 5, folks. Welcome back to Curious Tom, episode 5. This is episode 5. Is that some sort of milestone? Is 5 a number worth celebrating? People think 5 is an even number, but really it's just divisible by 10, and we have a base 10 number system, which is why the number 5 feels significant. It's not even. It just fits into 10. This is going to be kind of a strange episode. It might be a little bit shorter. I have some things that I want to talk about, or I have like topics that I wrote down that we could talk about and discuss on the podcast, and I'll get to them. But I just want to let you guys know that I'm feeling pretty bad right now, for a number of reasons, some of which I can explain and some of which I can't. Not just that I can't, like, I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I just don't know. I'm just feeling, I'm in one of those slumps, okay? And I think, well, I don't know. I talked about in the first episode that it's more important to identify what you are feeling than why, and the why is second. And so I can tell you what I'm feeling, and I have a few guesses as to why. But I haven't fully identified those or worked through them. But not to start off on kind of a bummer note, I'm really doing okay. I'm really doing okay on paper. And I'm okay, really. It just feels weird right now in this moment. And, maybe I'll be fine in like an hour or so, because I'm going to go hang out with some cherished friends. Like I talked about, maybe at the end of the last episode, hanging out with cherished friends is a good idea. Yeah, right now in this moment, I feel blue, which is why I wore this blue t-shirt for you guys. Blue. One second. But I've been enjoying doing this podcast because it allows me to pause and have a moment of reflection and stream of consciousness, and it doesn't really feel like I'm talking to people. It really just feels like I'm talking to myself, which is good because I have a very strong inner dialogue, and I really am kind of constantly talking to myself inside my head. I don't know. I'm talking to myself in my head all the time, and sometimes it's good, I think, to talk to myself with my words because it forces me to slow down because I think faster than I talk. Ooh, smart guy alert. This guy thinks faster than he talks. Isn't that most people? I don't know. I don't know how most people think. Isn't that weird? You don't know. Obviously, you don't understand the experiences of what it's like to be another person. But I think on that, and if you think about that on a much deeper, more profound level, you don't know what it's like to be inside someone else's head. Our brains are so vast. Not to pump up humans or anything like that, but we have, I don't know the details, but we have like billions of neurons, trillions. I don't know the number, but it's a big one, okay? It's a big number. And I remember numbers. I actually remember, this is kind of fun. I remember the moment I realized that numbers don't end. I don't know. I don't know if I was a smart kid or if I just remember experiencing childhood more than other people. Or maybe everyone's like this and I'm just jacking my D. Sorry, I was checking to see if the tripod was holding down one of the buttons. But I remember thinking about numbers and asking I would ask my mom and my dad, what is the biggest number? And they would say there is no biggest number. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean there's no biggest number? And they said, well, there's no biggest number. They just go on. Forever. And I was like, what do you mean? There has to be a biggest one. And then I remember the moment, I think I was maybe 6 or so. I was walking in the parking lot with my mom after school, and I remember walking across and then stopping because I had realized that numbers don't end. I realized that numbers don't end. I remember that moment, and it was kind of a formative moment for me where I was like, oh, they don't end. That's why we don't have... And they had said that to me, but I didn't really understand what they meant. And then it clicked for me that the reason... I connected the dots that you can't name something that goes on forever. So that was the moment I understood infinity. When I was 6 or 7 or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I was 8. But I remember that moment because I remember numbers, and I remember distinct formative moments from my childhood all the time. And that's a lot of what I wrote down, actually, for today, is I have been feeling reflective about my youth. I'm still in my youth, I guess, right? I'm turning 26 next week. Maybe we'll do something interesting for the podcast for my birthday. Happy birthday, Tommy. But anyways, we have big brains, and we have billions or trillions or I don't know, some big number of neurons. And so we have great capacity to feel things. And I was thinking about that earlier because I feel like this week has been rough. And I don't know that I want to talk about the details. You all know what happened. And people are giving their takes online. But it has been really disheartening for me to just see how... Not that I'm taking a stance. I mean, okay, fuck it. I'll talk about it. Charlie Kirk was a very bad man. And he advocated for violence and is responsible for violence against a ton of different communities. And it's no more sad. Him dying is no more sad than children in Gaza. Whatever. You understand my take. But the video is brutal. It was hard to watch. And what has just been really feeling, I don't know, it's just bad it's bad for your brain to be online and see how the internet has formed. I don't know, I just feel like our brains have been twisted by the internet somehow. And I think people are having very understandable reactions, and people are understandably not upset or not sad at his death. And it just seems crazy that we live in this world where someone dies that is a controversial figure, and we just see an eruption on both sides, all different types of angles about it, you know. And we're at each other's necks, and I'm not sitting here being like, you know, oh, we gotta have peace we gotta, you know, I don't believe in. I don't know what is worth explaining what I believe on this podcast. But end of the day, it's just been a weird fucking week, man. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm feeling like this, is just because it's fucking weird. And I don't understand. I was thinking about our brains, basically, and how the more complex and the more connections and the more synapses we have, the greater capacity to feel and experience different things. We have the greater capacity to feel and experience different emotions and behavior and tendencies. And that goes in every single direction possible. And I was thinking about that because the smarter animals you see, the animals with the bigger brains, display more and more grotesque behavior towards each other. You know, like otters... This is gross. Otters fuck dead bodies. Dolphins do a bunch of terrible, weird shit. And I don't know anything about it. But one conclusion that you could make from that is that the bigger our brains are, the more capacity for violence and gruesome behavior we have. And humans have the biggest, most complex brains on this planet. And that means the greater capacity we have for behaving very badly towards each other. And I'm not tying that to any events in this past week, but it's certainly been on my mind. On the other side of that, the greater capacity for really good, incredible things we have, you know? So it goes both ways. The bigger our brains, the more it's like it's just there's an element of randomness and statistics to it. It's like a normal curve, you know? You're heightening the capabilities we have, and the more it's Murphy's Law, the more things that can happen, the more things will happen. So you increase our capacity to feel things and do things, and we will do and feel those things. And this is a pretty dark start to the episode. We're 10 minutes in, and I'm already discussing the faults and failures and downfalls of this little society that we built on this little rock. One cool thing that's happened in human news recently that has been totally buried by everything else is that there's pretty strong evidence that life once existed on Mars, and that's really fucking cool, man. I love that kind of stuff, and that stuff inspires me. And yeah, I hope that I get to see in my lifetime a further exploration of Mars, and I hope that we are able to bring samples back from Mars so we can poke at it and people can do science on it here. I love scientists. I love people who are so driven and excited and nerded out by their little niche that they just dedicate their lives to becoming some of the most talented, smart, capable people that we have to offer. And I think that's one of the cooler sides of humanity is how curious we are. And that's what this podcast is about, curiosity, right? Hey, that's what hey, it's the name of the podcast, Curious Tom. I'm curious, and so are people. And that's fucking cool, man. And so I hope that that there was life on Mars. Because you know what that would mean? You know what that would fucking mean if there was life on Mars? If there are two planets in the same solar system that both independently developed life, that would mean that it's everywhere. That would mean that this universe is chock full of life. And that would be a beautiful thing, man. And I can't explain it. And fuck, man, I'm feeling some type of way about that. That's really cool. If life is just prevalent in the universe, and the universe is vast, and I feel like maybe humanity is in like a dark time right now, and I don't know what we're gonna do with it, but this feels like a dark timeline, and much of our history has been dark, you know, but like I said, we have the capacity for great evil, but we also have the capacity for great good. So ultimately, I think we'll figure something out, and it might take a long time to do that, and I might never get to see something like that in my lifetime unless that fucking guy who is trying to not die makes a pill that makes you not die. That'd be cool, huh? If everyone knew they weren't gonna die, I bet they'd treat the life the planet a little bit better. Okay, I'm so sorry, y'all. This is dark. I'm okay. I'm good. Things are good. Well, things are not good, but I'm okay, and things are going to be good. Okay, how about that? How about that for an angle? Let's get out of my head, huh? Let's get out of my head. Last night was the third show. Last night was the third show in the Please Like Me stand-up showcase, and we had an absolutely banger lineup on it, folks. Absolutely banger lineup, okay? We had my good friend Will Cunnington on it. Shout out Will Cunnington, one of my best friends in the stand-up scene. We had Delilah Orzava on it, also a good friend of mine, absolutely killer stand-up comic. She's one of those people that the ceiling for her is on the fucking moon, man. The way that she can kill a room is just amazing. I've never seen someone kill a room like she can. You know, there's comics that are really steady and like reliable and kind of not standard, but like you watch them go up, you're like, they're gonna do well. They're gonna do their job. They're gonna get well. And then there's comedians like Delilah where you're like, that person, you know, it is either going to do well and do just well enough, or more likely she's going to blow the roof off. And last night she did great, man. We had Dan Garcia, awesome comic, booker around the scene. He did really well. And then Georgia Moore headlined it, and she just fucking killed for 20 minutes. And it was a great show. One tough thing about the show was that we thought we were going to have to cancel it because only 4 people bought tickets. And so I kind of put the bat signal, and all my friends kind of took pity on me and came out. And it was an awesome show. I mean, like, they came out, and it was like, this is great. There's no complaints about the quality of the show. We wouldn't have been able to do it if my friends didn't come out, though. So we got to figure out a way to not have a show that totally relies on my friends. You know, we got to figure out a way to market it and get a crowd at the show who likes the show for what it is and likes the comedy rather than goes there to see someone on the show. Bringer shows are great. They're very fun and very loving, and the crowds are generally very good on those kind of shows. But it's just not the most sustainable thing because as lovely as my friends are, and we lost a bunch of money on the show, let me tell you that. Lost a bunch of money, okay? Lost a bunch of money. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes. It was a very fun time. Everyone did great. Very fun show. And my friend, I don't know if she'll want me saying her name on the podcast, but my friend, one of my friends here in the city, one of my oldest, dearest friends from college, I'm just constantly humbled and amazed and really just, I don't know. I don't have the words to describe how much I appreciate this person because she's come to a ton of my shows, and I haven't always asked her to do it, and I'll, like, send her stuff, and she just comes, man. And she brings a lot of people, too. Like, she has a whole other friend group that I don't really know super well, but I've just gotten to know them just from this friend bringing them to the show. And I'm just amazed at how I'm always floored sometimes. Always sometimes, that's an oxymoron, right? I'm always sometimes floored at my friends' generosity and thoughtfulness and kindness. And so I was really stressed about it, and then we did the show. And maybe that's also why I'm feeling a little down, is because the crash of being really stressed about a show and then it going well, and then maybe like the downside after the come down after the stress of the show, and then it going well and us being able to pull it off. So if anyone who went to that show is watching or listening to this, thank you very much. I don't know what I did to deserve friends like you guys. I don't know what I did. I don't think I deserve it, but you're here anyways, and I love you, and thank you. And this is such a bummer of an episode, Tommy. Hey, Tommy, this is a bummer. Well, I warned you, okay? I warned you at the beginning it was going to be different, and I was going to be doing far fewer bits, and there would be less laughy moments. And the last it's just nature, man. The last episode I was up here, I was like, bam, 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 bit, joke, bit, fucking cum and jizz, and I was feeling good, and I was riffing off the moon, okay? That's what I was doing last episode. I was riffing inside of the moon, and now the universe, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that it needs the other side of the coin, and everything must be in balance. And so that's what this episode is. It's balancing. It's a balancing act. It's a delicate balancing act, and that's where we're at, okay? Another sip of coffee. This is cold, man. I think I talked about everything, not everything I wanted to talk about. There's a few things that I just was remembering from my childhood. I think one thing about me, guys, one thing you guys have to know about me is that I live my life, and I don't know if there's a term for this, and I don't know if everyone else also experiences this, but I think we kind of have a tendency to just think where the things that we experience are unique, and that's not really the case. We share a lot more than we know. But one thing that I've always felt about myself is that I am experiencing myself. I'm like, you know, in a video game, how you can see the back of the head of the character and you're like in third person. Sometimes I feel like that about my life. I'm viewing myself in third person. I'm watching myself make these decisions. I'm just very introspective, okay? And I've always been like that. I've been as long as I've had memories and thoughts and experiences, I've always been like, what's going on there? Why? Who are you? What is this? What is this that we're experiencing? Because consciousness is weird like that, man. Consciousness is a weird thing that we experience. So, anyways, I've had things that I've always thought about that I've never shared with people because I don't know that they're interesting or worth sharing. I just call them my little thoughts, my little thoughts and memories that sort of comprise who I am. But I don't. Sometimes it's like I don't know. I have these little weird things that I remember that aren't interesting. But they. I don't know how. I don't know that I'm explaining it very well. They like form a whole. They form me. They form myself. And I kind of sound narcissistic right now, but I feel like I have this pyramid inside me. I feel like there's these building blocks that have sort of made who I am, and you don't always share the parts of yourself with everyone. Maybe you do. Maybe you're supposed to, but I never have. And so I just wrote down some of those little things that I remember. One of them was the numbers thing, when I realized that numbers don't end. That was one of those little things, little moments, little tidbits about myself that I wrote down. And I've never shared with anyone, but it's kind of interesting. It's interesting to me, but maybe we're just all interested in our own selves, and that's how the world works, and that we live inside of these little brains, and that's how it goes, and that's the world. But there's a few other things that I remember. One thing that I remember, this is one of my earliest memories, and I know it's one of my earliest memories because I lived in Wadena, Minnesota, which is a small town in northern Minnesota. I lived in Wadena, Minnesota for the first 4 years of my life, and I moved to Bemidji when I was 4 years old. So any memories that I have from Wadena, which there are very few, but several, I know that those are from like my earliest moments of conscious thought. So one of those is I was watching. I think it might have been Star Wars. I think I might have been watching Star Wars with my dad, and or some sort of movie. It might have been a different movie, but in my head it's Star Wars, and we're watching this movie, and I am talking about bad guys. I'm like, those are the bad guys, the Empire, and those are the good guys, the rebels. And in my head, I was like, I said something like, well, I'm good. Good thing there's no bad guys in real life. Good thing there's no bad guys in real life. And my dad said, oh, there are bad guys in real life. They just don't have lightsabers. And that was a formative moment. And as I'm talking about this, I don't think that's very interesting, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. It's a formative. It's like the numbers thing, okay? It's a little building block of Tommy, okay? You want to get to know me? Is that what this podcast is for? I don't know the motivations people have for listening to this. Well, some people thought it was funny, and I haven't been funny this episode, and that's fine. Not everything has to be funny, man. Not everything has to be funny. Sometimes you can just have a podcast where you're talking, and it's not that interesting, and that's okay. And maybe someone else right now is feeling dark, and feeling blue and morose and strange after the events of this week, and is getting a certain sense of relief from this podcast, or the opposite. Burp, but who knows? Keeping it in. I'm authentic. Anyways, it was the moment is something that I think about often, where my dad told me that there are bad guys in real life. And I think that I grew up in a very, very fortunate situation, with parents that cared deeply about my well-being and my growth and my development, and wanted me to feel strong and tall and confident about the world. And I think it's a natural conclusion for a 4-year-old or 3-year-old, however old I was, to not think there are real bad guys in the world. I think that's a natural conclusion, and I think that probably most people at that age, or maybe not most, but a lot of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds understand very clearly that there are bad guys in the world, because they didn't have the experience I did growing up. And so that was something that I've been thinking about, and how that indicates what your experience and how development of brains go. And I grew up in such a nice environment that it was impossible for me to conceive that there were bad guys in the real world. So I think that's kind of neat. And also, I think, okay, so I believe in I believe in a lot of things. I believe that we can do a lot better. I know that we can do a lot better. And I don't think that the world that we've built ourselves and the systems that we've constructed have any sort of cosmic staying power. They're certainly rigid and seem hard to break. But they're not rigid, and they will break by themselves. And I know that's true. I know that's true. I know that these constructs that we've built will dissolve with time. And I didn't expect to go in that. I didn't expect to go in that direction. But I believe in I believe. I'll just tell you, I believe in a world without money, without a state, and without class. And if you can connect the dots on the ideology that brings that together, then you go ahead. I won't spell it out for you. But that's what I believe in, because I believe that humans have the capacity for that kind of thing. I think we could do it. I think we can do it. I think we could do it, and I think we probably will eventually, but we might break a lot of shit first. Okay? I believe in that kind of world. And the reason I know that is because when I was 4, I lived in a world without bad guys. I didn't understand that there were bad guys. And if you continue to raise a child in a world without bad guys, that child will not conceive bad guys. Because we have these very adaptable brains. I think we have this false idea as humans that we're sort of naturally inclined to kill each other and fuck each other over. I think that's total myth. I think that's total BS. And I think the reason that we believe that is because that's the world that we've constructed for ourselves. But I think that if you take a baby without any preconceived notions of violence or statehood or war or class or money, and you raise it in a world without those things, then the child will not independently think of those things. The child will not start fucking people over, because that doesn't exist in that world. And I think we can do that. I think we we should do that. And I know that we can, because I believe that there were no bad guys when I was 4, because that was the world that I lived in. And I didn't I wrote that down as just an interesting tidbit about me learning about bad guys, and I didn't expect to go down that path, but that's where we're going on this episode. That's the kind of episode this is, all right? All right, folks, that's the episode that this is. So, that's an interesting conclusion to me learning. That's what Star Wars taught me, is that a better world is possible. And I don't know that I'll have as interesting of a conclusion with this next story, but it's just another interesting tidbit. I remember being young enough to be on my dad's shoulders. So I don't know, maybe I was 6 or below. And my dad would pick me up and put me on his shoulders. And my dad is 5'7", okay? He's a short king. He's a short guy. But when I was five or six, guess what? I wasn't that tall, okay? So he was basically the tallest guy I knew. My dad at 5'6" was the tallest guy I knew. And he would pick me up and he would put me on his shoulders, and I would sit on top of my dad's shoulders. And I would think to myself, wow, I'm so far up here. I am so far up here. I cannot believe that this is the world I'm living in. I can't believe this is the world that my dad lives in. Is this the world that my dad lives in? Is he constantly going around like, wow, I'm tall. Wow, I'm fucking tall. I'm sitting up here and I see everything at a different angle. That's crazy. That's crazy. I can't wait to be this tall and think to myself constantly, wow, I'm fucking tall. Because in my head, I was like, when I'm that tall, I'll be constantly thinking about how tall I am. And I'll be looking down and saying, I can see things that little kids can't see. I can see everything. I can see the countertop. I can't see the countertop when I'm not on my dad's shoulders. That's what I thought. That's what I thought when I would get up on my dad's shoulders. I would think, wow, I'm tall, and I can't wait to be this tall and think about how tall I am. And then, of course, you get to be this tall, and you don't think about it because it happens incrementally. And that was kind of lurking in the back of my mind as a kid. A part of me was like, well, it takes a good while to get that tall. It takes a good while to get that tall. Do you think... And then in my head, I was like, maybe I'll just get used to each and every height I'm at. Maybe I'll just get used to every single height I'm at, and I won't notice myself growing. And sure enough, that's what happened. And I was hoping to myself as a kid, I was hoping that wouldn't be the experience. I was hoping that when I got to be as tall as my dad, I would constantly appreciate it. And sure enough, keeping it in, authentic. Sure enough, I got to be the height of my dad, and then I grew another 2 inches. And I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. I stand at a 5'9.5", and little Tommy would be so disappointed in me. Little Tommy would be so disappointed that I take it for granted like I do. So this goes out to little Tommy. I'm sorry, guy. I'm sorry, guy. If you could go back in time, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to yourself if you could go back in time? What would I say to myself if I could go back in time? I guess it depends on how old. I think maybe I wouldn't do that. I think if I had the option to go back in time and tell myself something, I wouldn't do it. Because I feel like the person I am today, the lessons I've learned have come because I didn't have warning. The music wasn't playing. Okay? The music wasn't playing. I couldn't see what I was about to stumble into, and the pain that I would experience because of my decisions. And I think the fact that I carry with me silly things, it's embarrassing things that I've done and said, I think makes me the person that I am today. And I like that guy. I like the guy that I am today. I'll say it. Fucking like him, all right? Even when I'm feeling blue, even when I'm feeling down, fucking like this guy, all right? And you should too. You should like yourself. Or you should figure out how to like yourself. Sorry, I was checking to see. This is my bathroom door, by the way. Oh, it is open. Fuck. I meant to close it, because what if you see my toilet? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you see my toilet, because guess what? It's fucking pristine. Because I'm a neat guy. Anyways, I'm tall now, and I'm strong now, and I'm going to try to appreciate that more. For little Tommy, hey, celebrate the wins for your little self. That's the lesson for today. Celebrate the things that you are today, because You've done things that your younger self couldn't possibly conceive of, like fucking. Hey, I fuck, all right? And let me tell you, there's a certain point in my young life where I thought that never would happen. And this is, I do that by fostering a sense of whimsy in my life. I foster a youthful effervescence that that I foster. I get laid by my youthful charm and whimsy. Okay, I get laid by my youthful charm. All right. Oh, you get pussy by being mean? Have you tried fostering whimsy, dick? Have you tried that? Have you tried that? Have you tried bettering yourself and building up your self-worth and getting pussy not with the goal of getting pussy, but getting pussy at the end of that self-development journey? Have you considered that? Have you considered doing that instead of being mean to women? Just a thought. Just a thought. Last story I have, something that I've told a good number of people. I have a black belt in Taekwondo. Well, that's not true. I have a junior black belt in Taekwondo, which I got when I was 14, I think, 13 or 14. And my mom made me join Taekwondo when I was very young, when I was 6 or so, because I was very clumsy and I was falling over stuff all the time. And she was worried that I would fall over and kill myself. She was worried that I would stumble into things and kill myself. She was like, she made me join Taekwondo. And so I joined Taekwondo, and it was a big part of my childhood that I am very grateful for. It teaches you how to control your body. It teaches you how to have discipline, which is I think a kind of a twisted. Discipline is kind of it has become kind of a twisted ideal, and people have this idea of discipline as being sort of a rigid and bad thing. But discipline, I think, just teaches you. I don't know. There's some use in discipline, and too much discipline is definitely bad, but too much of anything is bad. So I joined Taekwondo, and I learned to kick and punch. It also teaches you self-confidence, like any sort of physical activity, like weightlifting or martial arts or any yoga or fucking running. It gives you a sense of confidence, and it I don't know, just progressing and getting better at something is good for everyone, I think. And some people get that out in other different ways, but physical activity is one of those things that I don't know, is like a good marker, I think, for health. It's good for you. So I joined Taekwondo, and I did it for years and years, and I got my junior black belt in 8th or 9th grade. I don't remember. But I have this story. So both my siblings did Taekwondo too. Both my siblings did it. We're separated by 2 years. My brother's 2 years younger than me. My sister's 4 years younger than me. And we're all on Taekwondo. And there was one summer when I think we must have been, let's say I was 12, my brother was 10, my sister was 8. I don't know if that was the actual ages. But we did a Taekwondo camp. It was an overnight camp. It was at the studio, and it was all the Taekwondo kids, and we joined this camp, and we did a bunch of Taekwondo stuff. And one thing that we did the last day of the camp was an obstacle course. And I love obstacle courses, okay? I really love obstacle courses. I always have. I've always been sort of quick and maybe a little agile, and because I've been doing Taekwondo, okay? Sue me, all right? It's just the truth, all right? And so we did this obstacle course. I remember we had to jump over stuff, and this is just a sidebar. It's just another block, okay? It's just another building block of Tommy. It's this part of the story that I've never told anyone because it doesn't add anything to the story. But maybe it'll be interesting for this podcast. I don't know. I'm just feeling very strange. I'm feeling better now, by the way. I'm feeling better now. I'm improving. My mental, my wavelength is improving. But I'm feeling very reflective. Because of a few things outside of the news that I can't really talk about. But don't worry, I didn't do anything bad. But yeah, I can't really talk about it. But part of the obstacle course was, this isn't interesting, but I think it's beautiful that I've just carried this in my head. And there's just been a set of neurons that have contained this information that I've never shared with anyone because it's not important to the story. But one of the things is that they had this, it was like a little stand with pads that you could kick or punch. And so part of it was that you would jump on under these bars. You went through the tunnel. There was a bouncy ball that you had to like jump over, and then you had to kick or punch 4 times. That was part of the obstacle course. I've just never told anyone that there was a thing that you had to kick or punch, which makes sense because it was a Taekwondo obstacle course. And anyways, so we all ran through it, I think 2 or 3 times, and they timed us. They timed how fast it took us to get through the obstacle course, and basically, it was kids aging from. My sister was 8. I have to imagine she was one of the younger people there. So let's say it was 8 to 16. That was the age range, and I was 12. So I know I wasn't the oldest kid there. There were definitely older kids there. There was maybe 100 kids at this camp. Maybe 70, I don't know. But we all went through the obstacle course, and we all got timed, and at the end of the day, they had rankings who had the fastest time. I had the fastest time, okay? I had the fastest time of all the kids there. My younger brother, 2 years younger than me, had the second fastest time, okay? It went me, then my younger brother. Guess who had the third fastest time? My younger sister, okay? That's fucking cool, okay? All 3 of us, my sister. I think the most impressive thing is definitely my sister. She's the youngest of us, and she's going against 16-year-old boys, and she the only 2 that are faster are her blood relatives. Okay, share the exact same fucking genes as her. Okay, and all 3 of us had the fastest fucking times. And that's one of the proudest I've been. That's one of the proudest moments of my youth. Is that I had the fastest time. Of course, I had the fastest time. My younger brother had the second fastest time, and my younger sister came in third. Fucking gold, silver, bronze, folks. All 3 of us, all 3 Saxton kids on the fucking podium, okay? That rocks, okay? And I'm a competitive guy, and I was competitive with my siblings, but that was a moment where I was like, fuck, I'm so proud of them. And I'm happy with myself, obviously, but I think the more potent feeling in the moment was I'm so proud of my younger siblings, and I remain proud of them to this day. I hold them in such high regard, my siblings. I think they're just some of the best people around, and I guess that's thanks to the growing up in the same. I don't know. We weren't super close in high school. We were close when we were younger, and I just loved being an older brother, and because they were just 2 of my pals, went off and did my own thing in high school and college, but I just look at them as some of the most interesting, complex. They just have the same. I don't know. They're just the best, man. I just really love my younger siblings, and I'm very proud. I'm just immensely proud of them, and I felt that very strongly in the time in Taekwondo when we came in 1, 2, and 3. This episode is longer than I thought it would be. It's 45 minutes, and I've been talking the whole time. And there's probably not a lot that I'm going to cut out. I think I'm probably going to keep that whole thing. I'm sorry I talked about Charlie Kirk right away. But we went over a lot, and this is sort of an insight and an exploration of Tommy when he's feeling morose. Okay? Use that word in my first episode. Folks. Morose! I got big words like that. I got a big vocabulary. I didn't pick my nose. I was itching it, okay? You saw it. I'm going to keep that in. I'm authentic. I'm going to keep that in. I went like this, okay? It was an itch. There's no boogers, you can see. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see there's no boogers on my thumb, and I have another itch there, so I'm going to do it again. That's the episode, folks. I'm going to end it there. Okay, my instinct right now is to apologize for how the energy and feel of this episode. I don't think I should apologize, though. I think the point of this podcast is to be present and explore humanity and be curious. And so I've been curious about myself this episode. And I guess what I apologize for, I don't know, I'm not apologizing, but I understand if you didn't make it this far in this episode, okay? It's not for everyone, right? This one's not for everyone. This one is for the real folks, okay? The real fucking homies this episode is for, all right? So shout out you guys that have made it this far. I'm going to go spend some time with some cherished friends, and you should too. And if you don't have any cherished friends, then you should find the hobby that allows you to get some, all right? I love you, and I hope you're well, and I'm doing well, and I'm going to sign off. Curious Time, Episode 5, out.